A malignant narcissist will often begin a relationship by love bombing you, overwhelming you with attention, promises, and intensity. But it isn't about love. It's about power. They're studying you, learning your fears, and figuring out how to control you. Now, here's where I want to be really clear. At first glance, some of these behaviors, they might sound like what a covert narcissist does. The love bombing, the manipulation, the pulling on your fears. But with a malignant narcissist, there's an extra layer that makes it even more dangerous. A covert narcissist manipulates because they're insecure and they need control. A malignant narcissist manipulates because they enjoy the harm that it causes. They feed off of your suffering, and that's a huge distinction. Malignant narcissists are also deeply paranoid. They often suspect that their partner is cheating, talking behind their backs, or plotting against them, even if there's no evidence. This constant suspicion, it fuels their rage and can turn into controlling behavior like monitoring your phone, questioning your every move, or isolating you from friends and family. And unlike a covert narcissist who might sulk or withdraw when they feel slighted, a malignant narcissist reacts with outright hostility. Their paranoia isn't just about feeling left out here. It pushes them into revenge mode. They don't just think you're against them. They want to strike back and make you pay for it. One of the most disturbing traits of malignant narcissists is their cruelty. While all narcissists can be hurtful, malignant narcissists, they take real pleasure in hurting another. And this isn't just about control, like I said. With a malignant narcissist, cruelty is the point. They go beyond using you for supply. They want to watch you squirm. They want to watch you cry. They want to watch you beg because it fuels them. And that sadistic streak is what makes them so much more terrifying than your garden variety narcissist. They're vindictive. If they feel rejected, abandoned, or exposed, they don't just pull away. They retaliate. They might spread rumors about you. They might sabotage your work or even try to turn others against you. For them, revenge is not only justified, it's necessary. And here's the thing. With a covert narcissist, you might see emotional abuse, manipulation, and guilt trips. With a malignant narcissist, the abuse almost always escalates into something darker, whether that's violence, sadistic control, or extreme psychological torment. It doesn't level off. It intensifies over time. So why are malignant narcissists this way? Some researchers suggest that it can be a mix of genetics and environment. There's evidence that certain biological factors play a role, but also that early trauma or abusive environments can contribute. The problem is, though, is once these patterns are set, they rarely change. Malignant narcissists, they don't seek help because they don't see themselves as the problem. So in short, while covert narcissists thrive on manipulation and control to soothe their insecurity, malignant narcissists go a step further. They thrive on cruelty, paranoia, sadism, and destruction. And that's what makes them the most dangerous of all. Malignant narcissism is basically the most extreme and dangerous form of narcissism. It's not just about being self-absorbed or arrogant here. This is where narcissism mixes with antisocial behavior and even cruelty, like I just said. Some people call it part of the Dark Triad, which means a toxic blend of narcissism, manipulation, and a desire to cause harm. So what you end up with is someone who looks confident and powerful on the outside, but behind closed doors, they're dangerous, they're manipulative, and they're completely lacking empathy. They don't just want control, they actually get satisfaction from hurting others. I can't say it enough. I'm going to keep repeating that so you guys get this. So in this video, I'm going to break down the core traits of malignant narcissism, how they show up in relationships, and why their behavior is so destructive. So hi everyone, Deanna King. And this channel is All Talk Narcissism and Codependency. And if you like this channel, well, you know what to do. And thank you. The algorithms, they favor videos with likes and comments and subs. So at least a like. Okay, so we begin. The first thing that a malignant narcissist can do when first meeting a partner is the excess in the amount of praise. You feel like a king or a queen in their presence. At first, they can't praise you enough. You've never felt so wanted and cherished. And they spend a lot of time with you, whether that's in physical presence, texting, emailing, or social media. You feel needed and you feel wanted. And of course, that's all going to be temporary here. But in the beginning, they just can't get enough of you. Now, what you see and what's behind all of this are two different things. What's really going on here is complete manipulation. They want to spend time with you to learn everything that they can about you as quickly as possible. Remember, you are prey. They want to know everything about you in as much detail as possible, everything about your past. So if, for example, they have knowledge that you've done something in the past that you really regret, they're going to keep that information and view that as a nugget of gold, because this is something that they can later exploit you with. It is so important to never open up too quickly with somebody that you don't really know, especially in today's world. And as codependents, we tend to want to jump in and trust, right? We can be quite naive sometimes until we've had the experience of having narcissists in our lives. Then we're a little more careful. And at the end, I'm going to talk about a couple of stories about things I've seen with clients, horrific things with malignants, so stay tuned. They also want to know what you're most afraid of. So if you let them know that you were somehow rejected as a child, that tells them that fear of abandonment is something that they can use to control you anytime that something doesn't go their way. They can just pull that one out of the hat and threaten to leave so that you do as they say, so that you stop complaining, so that you stop confronting issues with them. They are extremely, extremely evil, and they can go as far as actually packing up and leaving temporarily out of the blue just to shock you. So here you are, you're thinking all is well, and the next morning you wake up to an empty closet. And so then needing answers, you're going to chase them down to try and make sense of all of this, crying and begging while they're getting such a thrill to see you in such a state. The intentions of the malignant narcissists are malicious as opposed to the other types who often behave the way they do as reactive. Now, once they have you in the position that they want you in, aka under their spell, having used other love bombing tactics like all kinds of extra attention to make you feel special, you're going to start to see glimpses of arrogance. And when I say arrogance, I'm not just saying that they'll boast about their accomplishments here or their knowledge, but they'll do it in a way to make you feel small or bad about yourself, which is their intention. And it can be a blunt statement, really insulting, like, hand that over, you don't know what you're doing. If, for example, you're trying to fix some issue on your cell phone. And of course, like all other narcissists, they are grandiose, but their grandiosity is taken to a new level where they believe that they are so important that the CIA is watching them, which is part of the paranoia trait that malignant narcissists have. They are extremely paranoid. They'll believe that others are talking about them behind their backs and conspiring against them. So if they message a friend, for example, who doesn't respond immediately, you're going to see them spinning. They'll go right to the thought and the belief that their friend has turned against them and somehow wants to harm them in some way. The malignant narcissist who's with a partner will be paranoid about the partner cheating. And once they've convinced themselves of this, there just isn't any convincing otherwise. They're also paranoid at work. They believe that others are trying to get them fired or steal their position at work, or others are trying to segregate them from other coworkers. And they believe it because that's what they would naturally do. They are exploitative also and are always looking for ways to manipulate and exploit others for their gain, disregarding how it's going to impact others. And in this exploitation, they're looking for specific traits in others here, such as empathy, so that they can easily be forgiven. They're looking for integrity because people with integrity will always do the honorable thing. And conscientious people, those are the ones that'll do walks on eggshells like you. They are cold, calculated, withdrawn, and distant. So you never feel any type of intimacy with them except for when they're manipulating. But these people, they really, really have a coldness to them. They are antisocial. And I pulled this one out from the Mayo Clinic, so these are not my words here. Antisocial personality disorder, sometimes called sociopathy, is a mental health condition in which a person consistently shows no regard for right and wrong and ignores the rights and feelings of others. People with antisocial personality disorder tend to purposely make others angry or upset and manipulate or treat others harshly or with cruel indifference. So basically, they're monsters, period. And we go around thinking that, oh, they had a bad childhood. They're monsters. They don't care and never will. It's who and what they are. They lack remorse and they don't regret their behavior. So it only stands to reason that people with antisocial personality disorder often violate the law, becoming criminals. They lie, they behave violently or impulsively, and they have problems with drugs and alcohol use a lot of times. They also have difficulty consistently meeting responsibilities related to family, work, or school. So for those who think that antisocial means that they are merely loners, it's a completely different meaning. And then lastly, aggressiveness and sadism. They will seek out revenge on anyone who tries to cross them. And to a narcissist, anything can be viewed as crossing them. Remember, they're paranoid. And this one is really disgusting. But they fantasize about ways that they can harm others. They take pleasure in hurting another. It makes them feel alive. With malignant narcissists, cruelty is the point. They go beyond using you for supply. They want to watch you squirm, cry, and beg because it fuels them. That sadistic streak is what makes them so much more terrifying than other narcissists. Sick, sick puppies. They have zero remorse for anything that they do to another, or they have zero empathy of the exploitation that they do either. I had a client once who was completely enthralled by her partner, and this man was exploiting her in a lot of ways, but he also exploited her sexually. He made her feel wanted by constantly wanting to have sex with her. And the way that he went about this was in the way that he talked to her about how beautiful that she was and how wanted that she was by him. And that's all he had to do. And she became putty in his hands. Do whatever you want to me, right? He made her feel as if she was the only woman on earth. And he appeared extremely confident also and just appeared powerful in her eyes. But in this dance that he played with her, he had this thing that he liked to do with knives during sex. And at first, she was uncomfortable with this because what he would do is he would slide knives under her throat during intercourse. And he was testing at this point to see how far she would go and gaining her trust so that he could take it further later. So eventually, she settled in and she played along when she saw that this appeared to be the extent of it, or so she thought. So as time went by, he upped the ante on his behavior. And then one night, after a heated argument, she woke up in the middle of the night in pain, where she found him with the knife on her nipple, getting ready to cut it off. Isn't that disgusting? You don't always know who you're sleeping with. When it comes to a malignant narcissist, you don't know what you're dealing with, nor what they're capable of. And you don't want to stick around long enough to find out. So what's causing this behavior? While genetics can have an influence, difficult childhood experiences and unhealthy family dynamics often play a role. The development of malignant narcissism is shaped by a combination of inherited traits and environmental factors. Although genetic predisposition alone cannot cause the disorder, it does contribute to its formation. It's been noted that people who have a history of personality disorders in the family appear to be at a higher risk of developing malignant narcissism or antisocial personality disorder. So if you suspect at all that you're dealing with a malignant narcissist, it would be advisable to try and find out about the family history, and even more advisable to actually leave, because nothing you do will help. You're trying to help or fix is going to create more opportunities for them to harm you. And one of the scariest things about malignant narcissism is the escalation. With a covert narcissist, you might see emotional abuse, manipulation, and guilt trips. With a malignant narcissist, the abuse almost always escalates into something darker, whether that's violence, sadistic control, or extreme psychological torment. It doesn't level off. It intensifies over time, which leads me to the last part of the discussion of the impact that these people can have on their victims. So here I'll be discussing a case of a woman who did end up leaving a malignant narcissist and what became of her life. And this woman had spent years by herself raising the children while her husband was out womanizing all the time and never being there for the children nor her. He exploited her to the max. And although he had a really high-paying job, she paid for everything. She struggled to feed her children because after all the bills were paid from the money that she made in her mediocre job, there wasn't enough left for food. Now, what he would do is he would give her crumpled up bills from his pockets that were left over from his party weekends. And that had to suffice to feed the children for the week. Sometimes it was $30. Think about that. That's 2 children plus her. That's $10 a person to feed for a week. And this is somebody who's making a lot of money. Eventually, she finally did leave. But as she tried to leave, he threatened her. He told her that if she did, she would lose everything. She would lose her job. She'd lose her house. She'd lose her family. And this is not an isolated case here. This happens time and time again with malignants when the partner leaves. It happened to me also. And when he told her that she'd lose her family, that also stretched beyond the children. It also included her siblings and her parents, where she would lose all respect from them. Flying monkeys. And he kept his promise. She did lose everything, including custody of her own children, which she never thought was a possibility since he never wanted anything to do with the children. But narcissists are master manipulators, and they know exactly how to win the hearts of others, including judges. And to this day, her children are grown and gone, and still no relationship with their mother. As far as the siblings, it was years before they even spoke to her again. Something to think about. Just because someone tells you that they're safe, that they're a safe person, it doesn't make it so. Food for thought. So that is all for today. But for those of you who are planning to leave a narcissist, a malignant narcissist, please make sure that you're going to cross all of your T's and dot all of your I's. Record everything, document. Take care of yourselves. So we shall see you in the next video, and bye for now.